disrupted.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. And let us tune to the skies of Russia for a second, because something interesting happened. And interesting in the way of raising a bunch of eyebrows. Because a video is emerging that appears to be a drone attempt to assassinate the president, Vladimir Putin. And it's caused a lot of speculation. A lot of different stories have come around with this. I'm going to show you the original video and then the reactions of it. But it has caused a lot of kerfuffle. It has caused a lot of chaos. And considering that there is still this mounting tension with Ukraine and Russia trying to fuel as much of this proxy war as possible, because as you know, if you've been following along with this channel, if you've been following along with the history and the story of this conflict, you would know that this is a proxy war with the United States and NATO-aligned countries to use Ukraine as cannon fodder to go against their imperial empire rival, which is Russia. And as Adam Schiff even said in Congress, the whole purpose of this is to fight Russia over there so they don't have to fight over here in some sort of Cold War-like scenario. But here's the video here, and it's causing a lot of attention, so take a look at this. So there's the capital of Russia. There's the object flying by, and boom! Explodes into the sky. Let's watch this again. So you can see coming in, right off there. Boom. Gone. Now, you can't really make heads or tails with this situation. We don't even know where this drone is. It could be a civilian drone. It could be a military drone. We don't know exactly for sure what this situation entails. But there's also a lot of interesting notes to take of this. So here's another video, another angle of the same video. And you notice how they've highlighted in red here what appears to be people climbing up the dome of the capital in Russia as the drone is coming by and explodes in midair. So here's another look at this. So there's two people climbing up. There's the drone. Boom. And they're still climbing up the dome. So there's a lot of speculation here. What exactly is happening? Well, as the good-hearted people of mainstream media, they're going on the rim and they're going on the boat and going on the bandwagon once again to say that somehow Russia pulled this on themselves. I'm not even kidding. They're pulling this out of their hats to think that Russia somehow posed a false flag attack like this, like somehow they blew up their own pipeline in order to wage vengeance on Ukraine, as some sort of like biblical story that they're trying to create on the airwaves. So Michael Tracy had a good sense of humor with this. He says, "Good morning. I'm a serious journalist. Therefore, I know to assume with zero evidence that Russia drone bombed its own seat of government this week, just like it destroyed its own gas pipeline and attacked its own nuclear plant its forces were occupying." And I always love mainstream media journalists and I use that term lightly because they're not really journalists, that always have to remind themselves and remind their viewers that they are a serious person. They're a serious journalist. I went to Columbia, okay? I'm a serious person. I am so serious with this story that I didn't even bother to do research. I didn't even bother to go to Ukraine. I didn't even bother to look into this. That's how much I'm serious of a situation. That I'm just going to pull whatever bullshit comes out of my ass and place it on my news channel and credit it as serious journalism. That is mainstream media, ladies and gentlemen, and Michael Tracy made that into a hilarious joke, and good for him on that, because he does a lot of great work. So of course, they're trying to say that this is a false flag and Ukraine is trying to be in denial of this. And Zelensky is continuing on this denial because here's what he said about the drone attack.
We don't attack Putin or Moscow. We fight on our territory. We are defending our villages and cities. We don't have, enough weapon for this. That's why we don't use it anywhere. For us, that is the deficit. We can't spend it. And we didn't attack Putin. We leave it to tribunal.
So he's saying we don't attack Putin because we're defending our homeland. But again, if you want to believe the mainstream media story, the mainstream media consensus, the manufactured consensus of this war is everyone's angry at Russia. Everyone's angry at Putin because Putin waged this war. So if the mainstream dialogue is angry at Putin, would it make more sense to claim that you were trying to take out Putin? That's the consensus that was manufactured by the war machine. That was what Zelensky even said at the start of this, that this is a war against Russia. This is a war against the tyranny of Putin and how much of a terrorist he is, how much of a fiend he is when it comes to, coming into Ukraine and intervening in us. How dare you do something like that? If you want to believe the mainstream consensus, this absolutely, it makes no sense to be in denial. But they're saying that they didn't do any of this. They're saying that, we don't have enough weaponry. Which it's starting to sound like more of a telethon. Well, we would like to do something like that, but we don't have the time and opportunity. That's why if you call right now and donate your weapons and mass millions of dollars and billions of dollars of your treasury fund, we will give you a free tote bag. But here's also where this gets even more interesting. Because while Zelensky is in denial, complete denial of this drone attack, which again, it could be a civilian drone, could be a military drone. We don't even know for sure. But mainstream media has already jumped the bandwagon and say that Russia did this to themselves to, play tricks on us and it's 4D chess and some stupid shit like that. But here's where this gets interesting, because this guy points out, after Kremlin attack, Zelensky said Ukraine doesn't have enough weapons to attack Russia, but on April 28th, his intel chief said, we don't need weapons from US or anyone else to get to the Russians. We have enough Ukrainian means and weapons to do this. As country after country after country has sacrificed their own taxpayer dollars. I mean, Canada's donated, the United States has spent billions of dollars, the European Union has spent billions and billions of dollars. Every single NATO-aligned country has given up their treasury, given up their own country's assets to Ukraine. And you have the intel chief saying, we don't need it. We really didn't need it. It was just extra. And here's what he had to say about this on PBS NewsHour.
Believe ground conditions favor the offense.
In the near future, everyone will see the expected results.
Budanov's expertise is foreign intelligence, as in Russia. Russia blames Budanov personally for explosions in occupied Crimea and inside Russia. But Ukraine doesn't claim official responsibility for these attacks and is restricted by the U.S. from using American weapons beyond its borders.
Do you believe you're hindered by the U.S. insistence that U.S. weapons not be used to attack inside Russia?
Absolutely not. And we do not need weapons from the Americans or anyone else to get to the Russians. We have enough Ukrainian means.
So again, as any taxpayer would and should be asking this, why the hell are we donating this money then? Where's this money going to then? You just heard a Ukrainian official saying we don't need the money. We don't need any of this. So Where the fuck are we what are we doing with our treasury? What are we doing with our taxpayer dollars? Why are we giving ourselves a complete, utter disaster of inflation to pay for this war and not know where the money is going towards? It is just unbelievably insane that we're still continuing to dive down to the lowest denominator to try to continue on the charade of a war. Even though the proof is out in the open, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is look. All you have to do is turn off CNN, turn off MSNBC, get away from mainstream media because they're just going to feed you nothing but war propaganda bullshit. And look at what's happening in Ukraine. Look what's happening overseas. Look exactly at the social media accounts. And look at the history of what started this. And you would understand this is all just a joke. This is all a charade. This is all perpetrated by the military-industrial complex. And that's exactly who we're funding in this. It's not going to Ukraine. It's not going to the civilians. It's actually killing more civilians in Ukraine. It's doing more harm to innocent people and innocent bystanders. It is going straight to the belly of the beast, the evil empire itself, the military-industrial complex, and NATO. They're the ones that are splurging off of our tax dollars. That our elected leaders are telling us that it's going to help Ukraine. It's helping the Ukrainians. Oh, we're paying for their retirement fund. We're giving them clean water. We're making sure they have healthy food. We don't even have that here, for God's sakes. Our retirement is crumbling. We have infrastructure problems. There's still boiling water advisories here in Canadian cities and across North America. Are you kidding me? And we're just giving this lump sum of millions and billions up to trillions of dollars away to wage this warfare. And this guy, the Ukrainian chief intelligence, is saying we don't need it. Wow. That's incredibly insane. And here's another factor to this. So it says, same person, he says, a reminder concerning the attack of Kremlin today. Ukrainian intelligence chief Bunanov said there will be more attacks deeper and deeper inside Russia. So when Volodymyr Zelensky said that we were not going to attack Russia, we're not going to go in deep, we're not going to go after Vladimir Putin because we're defending our homeland, this is the tell that tells you that's complete bullshit. That's a lie. That's manufactured consent to make you think that Ukraine is the innocent one. There is no innocent one. There is no winners. There's only losers when it comes to war, and they're trying to manufacture this war as much as possible. And let me just remind people that Zelensky, who used to run as a peace candidate, got infiltrated by NATO, infiltrated by U.S. empires in the military-industrial complex, and also neo-Nazis that were continuing to fund in Ukraine to bolster up its military to go after its own people. That's what's happening right now. And here's what this guy has to say about the defense of Ukraine and how we're not intervening into Russia.
Did Ukraine strike a Russian airbase?
I can give you answer right now on this question.
Okay.
Only after ending of this war.
After the war, you can answer that.
I think so.
What's your reaction to it, even if you don't claim responsibility?
I'm very glad to see this.
Yeah.
That's my reaction.
That's your reaction. You're happy to see it happen.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be more?
I think so.
Inside Russia? Deep inside Russia?
Deeper and deeper.
And in Crimea?
Crimea is a part of Ukraine. It's our territory. We can use any weapon on our territory.
Is Putin terminally ill?
Of course.
He is.
Yeah.
When,
It's still a long period. Very long.
when do you think he's going to die?
I think very fast.
Soon,
I hope.
you hope. If he dies...
yeah, just all defense. We're the innocent ones. We're the ones being perpetrated. But let's talk about, Putin's declining health and eventually, just maybe his health or maybe something else would get him off the face of the earth. I mean, we're just the innocent ones here. We're not causing the harm. We're not doing anything wrong here. We're just trying to defend the civilians that we're trying to duct tape onto flagpoles by a bunch of Nazis that are being funded by other foreign nations. God, this is just like it's when you get into this, it's like reading the diaries of a psychopath. Really is. When you really, really get into this and understand how exactly NATO aligned itself with the military-industrial complex and how the U.S. imperial empire and continued to protect U.S. hegemony to isolate Russia, like the mindset of these people is just downright criminal, psychopathic, sociopathic. Like, these are people that should be locked away in a sane asylum if they still exist. Just how crazy and cringeworthy all this is. But we're expected to believe, again, if you fall into the mainstream media trap, we're expected to believe that these are the innocent ones. We had nothing to do with this, and Russia somehow, with its evil mastermind, created this false flag attack to do this onto itself. Just like it blew up its own pipeline or took down its own nuclear energy sources or how it's, killing off its own army. Literally how ridiculous sounding it is. And even Jackson Hinkle, who is really on the nose on stuff like this, he definitely has dove deep into this whole, Russia-Ukraine situation, and I highly recommend checking out some of his videos. Jackson Hinkle pointed this out, and I didn't even know about this. So it says, Kiev claims that the Kremlin drone attack was a false flag committed by Russia. And that's what they're also saying here in the Western Hemisphere on the major news networks. Even here in Canada, they're saying that Russia somehow orchestrated itself to do this, to fool Ukraine. And it says, yet the Ukrainian Postal Service has made a commemorative stamp. I guess this is Ukraine taking credit for something they did not do. And there's the photo there. There's the stamp. And look at that. A drone going to the Capitol and explodes. Gee. Maybe they're just like Simpsons writers. They were just able to predict the future. Or maybe they actually had something to do with this. And they're just completely in denial. And that Volodymyr Zelensky, who has lied in the past, continues to lie, continues to perpetrate propaganda in order to manufacture consent for this war, is deliberately lying to you to make him sound innocent when really he's backed by the most outrageous, evil, maniacal people, the neo-Nazis, the Azov Battalion, that even back in the day, we reported on as evil. Even the mainstream networks knew that the neo-Nazis emerging in Ukraine was a serious problem. But what did we do? We funded them anyway. What did we do? We just continued on the terror. Because in order to fight a war on terror, we have to manufacture terror. That's why Al-Qaeda exists. That's why ISIS exists. That's why there's so many different terror groups that we can't even name off the top of our heads, because they have to manufacture terror in order to fight it. That is the whole business practice and strategy of the military-industrial complex. And that is what they're doing here. It's to manufacture the idea and outrage in order to go into war. Purposely done by the corporate estate. And even the Washington Post has pointed this out. The Washington Post saying that at U.S. behest, Ukraine held off anniversary attacks on Russia. Kiev's head of military intelligence, Kyrylo Budanov, planned bold strikes deep behind enemy lines that unnerved officials in Washington. So it kind of bursts the bubble on the whole defending yourselves, defending independence, Because if Ukraine actually was fighting to be an independent country and fight for its own sovereignty, wouldn't we be the enemies? Wouldn't we be the ones under attack? Wouldn't Ukraine have the stance to go after us? Because we're the ones that are purposely screwing up their nation so that go fight Russia, our imaginative boogeyman. And that's what we're doing now. Instead of actually fighting Russia with American troops, we're actually using Ukrainians to fight our own battles. To again, what Adam Schiff said in Congress, we're fighting Russia over there so we don't have to fight over here. And that's the new 21st century strategy of the military evil empire, is that they're going to use countries and manipulate them and blackmail them and continue to stranglehold them and sanction them to do our dirty work. That's what they're doing right now in Haiti. And the Canadian government, Justin Trudeau, is pledging money towards it. They're making sure that Haitians are committing a civil war. They're putting money towards manufacturing a civil war in Haiti through the United States and through Canada, putting money towards this. And the same that's happening in Ukraine, the same that they're trying to do with Taiwan and China, the same that they're trying to do with Syria, and they're still occupying a third of Syria. You know what third? The one with the oil. Because that's what it comes down to. It comes to natural resources and extracting their wealth so that we could see other countries burn, and then the U.S. criminal empire continues to get away with doing crimes against humanity and putting the world on fire. That it's literally incredible. Literally incredible. And even down to the Washington Post reporting on this. And you know that the Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, connected by the CIA, would probably never, ever report something like this. But here you go. The United States is the controller. The United States is the player of this war game between Ukraine and Russia. They're the ones that are controlling Ukraine. And again, if we listen to Volodymyr Zelensky saying about defense, wouldn't we be the enemies? Because we're doing more damage to Ukraine than Russia intervening and coming in, storming in. Like, that's just showing how sociopathic and psychologically insane this all is.